Hello friends, this is Amir Malik. Friends, if we have to save one value, then obviously we use a variable because a variable can store one value at a time. But what if we have to store a list of values, for example, a list of student names in a class, or maybe a list of prices for a shopping mall? So for that purpose, we can use a list of variables and we call it array. So our today's topic is array. In Java, we can have multiple types of arrays like single dimensional array, two-dimensional array, array lists. Our today's video is about one-dimensional array or simple arrays. If you look at this diagram, you can see there is one variable, data type is string, and the name of the variable is my game, and it can store one value, that is Mario Kart. But if we have to store lots of names, then we cannot use a simple data structure, that is a variable. We have to use a complex data structure, that is array. And in array we can store multiple values. So if we have to declare an array, we can simply write the data type of the array and array's name, like string, in this case, you can see the data type and the variable name, and it is almost same that how can you declare an array, data type and then two square brackets and then name of the array. So this is the simplest way you can store and you can declare an array. You can think that if we have to store like 20 values, 20 numbers or 20 names in an array, then we can use one variable and use it in a loop. For example, a for loop. You can see this is val is a variable, its value is 1, and we are using it in an array, we're using it in a loop which is executing 20 times, 1 to 20, and it is printing all the values. Okay, similarly we can store a name in a string variable and then we can like print it 20 times, because we can take a new name from the user every time and we can print all the 20 names. Yes, we can. But what if we have to do something with the 10th name or 9th name? How can we do that? We cannot, because in the variable at one time only one value can be stored. So when the variable is populated with this one value, like first value is 1, when the loop is executed second time, now 1 is replaced with 2. Now 1 is gone and in the variable we have 2, and in a third iteration we have 3. So 1 and 2 both are gone. We cannot use them. So this is the problem we have to face with variables. So if we have to store multiple values, a list of values, and we have to use all the individual values later in the program, then we cannot use a variable. For that purpose we have to use an array. Guys, you have to remember that an array in Java is an object, and you know that an object cannot be created without new keyword. So whenever we have to create an array, these are different methods you can see on the screen. You can create an array and you can initialize it with a value. For example, if we look at the very first method, you can write double, means this is the data type of an array, then square brackets, then this is the name of the array, data. You can call it ARR or my array or whatever is the name, you can write it, and then equal sign new and then double, again data type, and in the square brackets you have to mention 25. It means this array can store 25 different double values, means 25 values with double data type. That these values can be stored in this array. Then this is another method to create and initialize an array. So you can write double and then name of the array and then square brackets. So you can write square brackets between double and data, or you can write it in this way. So both are correct, and on the right side you have to write new and then the data type and array with basically total number of values. You can use it in a third way, which is just declare it double data, and then in the next line you can say the data is equal to new double 25. You just you basically you broke this one statement into two statements. That's the simple way. So these are different methods you can declare an array. So let's do it in Java by using Replit. Before moving to Replit, you have to remember one thing. When we create an array like this, it will simply create a list of 25 double values, but those memory spaces will have all zeros, like 0.0 for double, and for if your array is an integer, then every block will have a 0 value. If your array is a Boolean data type, then all the memory blocks will have a false value, and if it is string, then they will have null values. It means they are just created, but they don't have any value. So they are basically initialized with zeros. In the case of integer, they will be initialized with a 0.0 in the case of a double array, because the most important thing to remember is one array can have only one type of values. Means if an array is double, then all the values, like in this case, there will be 25 values, so all 25 values will be double. You cannot mix double with integer, that half of the values are integer, half of the values are double. No. So if an array is declared as double, all the values inside it can only be double. If it is declared as integer, then all the values will be integer, and similarly string or Boolean. So you can look at this example. For example, we have declared an array myGPAs, and its data type is double, and 8 is basically the length of the array, means 8 values can be stored into it. So there will be 8 blocks, and all will have 0.0 because we did not enter or save any value in any block of the array. And one more thing, in Java, every block of the array has one index number, and then this index number starts with a 0. So for an array which can have 8 values, indexes can be like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Length minus 1. The highest index number will always be length minus 1. Array's length minus 1, because length is 8 and highest index number is 7, because it starts with 0. So 0 to 7, total 8 values. So here on the Replit, you can see that I have created a double array with the name myGPA, and it can store 8 values. So now I want to store first value in the index 0, like the very first slot of the array list. And now I want to store something else. For example, in the slot number 3, or like the block number 3, I have to store 3.75. So now index 0 will have 3.62 and index 3 will have 3.75. I did not enter anything in index 1 and in index 2. So you can see the diagram. Index 0 will have 3.62, index 1 and 2, because it was initialized with 0.0. So 0.0 will stay there, and then index number 3 will have 3.75. So this is the way you can put all the values in an array. But it is quite long method, because if we have 10 values, then we'll have to write myGPA is 0, then myGPA is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I have to repeat all these statements again and again 10 times. So what can we do? Okay, if you look at this index number 0, 1, and then it will have the next value as 2. So you can see that these values are incrementing, like 0, then index 1, then index 2. Then why don't we use a loop? And the loop control variable can be named as like any value like I or j, and then we can put I here. So the whatever the value of variable will be, it will be changed here, and then the next value can be saved in that index. So this is the way we can use a loop with the collaboration of an array, and this is the way we can do it in just 2 or 3 statements rather than writing 10 or 20 statements to give values to every slot of the array list. So this is the new program. You can see that we are taking values from the user, and you know that whenever we have to take values from the user, we have to import this utility java.util.scanner, and then we have to create a scanner, and the name of the scanner is n new scanner system.n, so we can take inputs, and we are basically asking the user that how many elements you want to save in an array. So for example, if user wants to save 5 values, user will say 5. This 5 will be stored in this variable v1, and because 5 is a whole number, an integer, so that's why the data type of v1 is integer. Now we are going to declare or create an array. The array I'm going to create is a double array, means it can double data type array, so it can store double values, double data type values. So double is the data type of array, GPA is the name of the array, GPA with square brackets, equal sign, new double. And rather than writing any number here inside these square brackets on the right side, in the previous examples we saw that we can write 8 in it, or 7 or 5, means we can store 5, 7 or 8 values inside it. But here I have mentioned the variable v1. So whatever is the value given by the user, like how many elements can be saved in an array, 5 or 6 or 10 or 20, so that will be given to this array, and the array will be created on the basis of that number. So for example, if user gives 5 number, so the array will be created that can store 5 double values. So now we are going to use a loop. As I told you that it is better to use a loop to store values in all the slots or all the blocks of array. So I'm going to start a loop for int I is equal to 0, because index starts with 0, so you have to start it with 0, and then I should be less than 1. Remember, it is very important, if you write I is less than equal to 1, it will give you an error which is out of bound error. What does that mean? It means that your array's length is 5. But remember, the index number starts with 0, and the largest index number is always 1 less than the length. So if v1 is 5, then the last index number will be 4. So you cannot make it I is less than equal to v1, otherwise the last iteration will check for the index number 5, and we don't have any index number 5. We have indexes 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that's why I should always be less than v1, or even you can use here your array name dot length. So it means I should be less than array's length. Okay, I plus plus, and then whatever the value given by the user, by using this loop, first value will, the value of I is 0. When the loop will be executed very first time, the value of I is equal to 0. So this GPA of I will become GPA 0, means first value will go to GPA index number 0, and then I will become 1, and this statement will become GPA 1. So next value will go to index number 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. So this is the way all 4 values will be stored inside all 4 slots of the array. Now we have to print it. So this is just one, print statement just to differentiate the input with output, and this line will be printed, and then we are using another loop to print all the values. So the value of I is equal to 0, I is less than V1, and you have to print GPA of I. So when the value of I is 0, it will become GPA of 0. So the very first value stored in a GPA array will be printed, and then second, and then third, and then fourth, and this is the way the whole array will be printed. So I'm going to run this program and you will see how it works. So the program is executing. First it will ask the user how many elements in array. So user says 5, and now enter a value. So it will come to this point. It means at the back end, array is declared, array is created with 5 slots or 5 memory cells are allocated for the array. So now we have to give it the very first value, because the variable I is equal to 0 now. So the value I'm giving right now will go to index 0. So 2.5, very bad GPA. Okay, now the loop is executing second time, this one. So the value of I is 1 now. So whatever the value I'm giving will be saved in index 1. So I'm giving 2.9. I'm improving. Okay, third, oh, I did it. I touched 3, and now 3.2, and the last is 3.8. Okay. So now I'm going to press enter. So all the 5 values are taken by the user. Now this part will be executed, and all the 5 values will be printed after this statement. Values are, and then this loop will be executed, and all the values will be printed. So I'm going to enter and see values are 2.5 at index 0, 2.9, 3.0, 3.2, and 3.8. So this is the way you can store values in an array. You can initialize an array, you can use loops with an array. Okay, let's check that which value is stored at which index. So okay, let me print this statement here. So after okay, I shouldn't write it in the loop, otherwise this will be printed every time. I'm going to print this statement. And I just want to check what is the value stored at index 2. Okay, let's run it. Okay, so I'm just 4 values. I need 4 values, and I'm going to give values. So 2.7, 2.9, 3.2, 3.7. Okay, so 4 values: index 0, index 1, index 2, and index 3. So index 2 has 3.2 right now. See, so first these 4 values are printed: 2.7, 2.9, 3.2, and 3.7, and then after the loop the value which is stored at index 2, that was printed, and that was 3.2. So this is the way you can check that which value is stored at which index. So that was first part of a long journey of arrays, because array is quite a complicated, a detailed topic in Java. So we will, I think, make lots of videos for arrays. So you have to do one thing. Yes, you have to subscribe my YouTube channel. So this is my YouTube channel. You have to subscribe it, and if you have any question, you can write in the comment section of the video, and I will definitely reply your query, and I will see you in the next video with something new about arrays in Java. Till then, have a nice day.